I keep saying it, and still true. We're so back. This week, we've got a fun topic for y'all to celebrate, each of us having our favorite football teams in the playoffs. For Andrew, that means the Chiefs. For Tom and Modi, the Eagles. And for me, somehow, some way, the Washington Mandos. Guys, our order this week, it's going to be me, then it's going to be Thomas, then it's going to be Andrew, then it's going to be Modi. Our topic is rivalries. Modi, big game coming up for us in the next few days. Our friendship is going to be put to the test. How are you feeling about all that?
Well, I have a rule with all my friends: no shit talking before or during the game, and then after, no talking shit, no overly no bragging, I guess is what I'm looking for. Just a good game, shake hands, we move on, and let's just survive the week and still be friends after the game. So that's how I'm taking it. One of my friends is just texting me every time he gives the Commanders good karma. So he texted me, he was like, just saw a guy in the Eagles hat and gave him a head nod, +1 karma for me. So we're trying to out karma each other. That's how we're playing it. But yeah, but no, we're good. We're good. I'm just trying to survive the week without losing any friendships.
That's awesome. Honestly, that's a way healthier answer than I expected to get from you. I thought you were going to be like, fuck you and your family and your dogs and everything you've ever stood for. I will now, I guess, reciprocate your positive emotions and your good karma and all that, and I will do a series of good deeds over the next few days to offset your good deeds, I guess. Andrew, you've got Chiefs again in another AFC championship.
Everybody's favorite team.
The Kansas City Chiefs Invitational. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. The Bills are much better than the Chiefs, so the Chiefs will probably win.
Yeah, it's frustratingly true, and I don't feel good about that. Look, I'm not even rooting against you so much as I would like there to be a different team in the Super Bowl. Dynasties in football should not be this easy to make happen.
I get that, but I also don't want to miss the only opportunity to have a Chiefs-Commanders Super Bowl in my lifetime. So I will be rooting for the Commanders, and I can't believe that there's actually a chance that Super Bowl, which I've wanted since I was a kid, to actually happen. It doesn't seem real.
That's true. I do forget sometimes that you're kind of a dual fan, considering different conferences, and you grew up in the DMV. So never mind. You know what? Go Chiefs. Chiefs Commanders, baby. Let's do it. Thomas, obviously, same side as Modi.
Chiefs Commanders is the worst case scenario, and
100%. That's the correct timeline.
Yes.
Oh, right, because Eagles.
Scenario.
Yeah, sure.
As an Eagle fan, yeah.
I would have thought that you guys would just be so tired of Bills fans.
No, I'm tired of the Chiefs. I like the Bills. The Commanders are the team I like the least.
Sure.
And
makes sense.
My dad and I already talked that if it's Commanders Chiefs, we're probably just going to go to the movies.
You and your dad are going to go to the movies during your bachelor party that you're having people in a location to watch the Super Bowl?
I've already stated that if it's Chiefs Commanders, the trip is canceled. So I hope you can get your flight. Take your money back.
Yeah, that was probably a really good idea at the time. Was like, oh, it's going to be sick. Like, we're all going to have a Super Bowl party. Like, probably didn't even think like the Eagles were going to be in it. You're like, let's have a nice, good time. And next thing you know, if the Eagles aren't in it, it means that the Commanders are. Yeah, that's tough.
Exactly. The mindset was, if the Eagles are in it, great. If not, it's a Super Bowl. I always watch a Super Bowl. There was never a second of, Washington has a chance.
And why would you?
Yeah.
Before we really get into the topic, can I just, why do you guys have the beef for the Commanders that you do when you've never seen them do anything against your team? It's not like every single year they've, pushed you out of the playoffs. Every single year they've been the embarrassment of football.
It's not what the Commanders have done. It's what the fans I grew up around were. Annoying as hell.
Sad all the time?
Annoying as hell.
Yeah, annoying as hell. And I don't really have beef with the Commanders. I would have beef if they were playing any team in the NFC Championship. You know what I mean? Like the fact that
yes,
like if you lose in the NFC Championship, that means that the team that beat you is not playing in the Super Bowl, so it'd be miserable regardless.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think,
although we did talk recently about how being like a top 4 finisher is still a lot better than being like number 12. But I understand that you're losing to a team in your division. I get that. My last question on this, and then I have one more thing I want to comment on before we actually get into the topic. If you had this is for the two of you. If you had to rank your least favorite teams in the NFC East, and you can't include the Eagles on that list because I know they've caused a lot of pain for you over the years. This is a ranking pod. I want you to rank your. But I will start with you.
So in order of least hated to most hated, it goes Giants, Cowboys, Commanders, for the sole reason that growing up in the DMV area has been brutal.
Sure.
Because the 3 times in my lifetime that the Commanders have been good, that's all I've heard about is how good they are, and and it's always coincided in the years that the Eagles are bad. So I get so much shit for it.
Love those first playoff exits.
Yeah, and I'm not a shit talker. I'm the definition of scared money don't make money. I'm a scared boy. I don't want to shit talk and then have it get brought back in my face. So I just live in my bubble.
Broke boy too.
Yeah, that's also fine. Like I'm obnoxious about my fanhood, but I don't shit talk other people because if the Eagles win, I had nothing to do with it. So I'm like, yeah, my team beat your team. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's kind of loser talk. But just growing up in the DMV area made me hate all DC sports.
Sure. Okay. All right. And then Thomas?
My order is the same, some different reasoning. My mom's a Cowboys fan. My dad's a Giants fan. So like, I couldn't hate them growing up.
Okay.
I don't like them, but I hate the Commanders. And I disagree. I think the fact that I wear my green sweatpants on Sunday that I only got 2 weeks ago, but I've worn them the last 2 weeks and then won the last 2 weeks, I think I am helping the Eagles that much.
You deserve a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
I understand both your reasons. Like, it makes sense to me. I'm just astounded because so often I hear, like, I hate the Cowboys most. I hate the Giants next, and then I hate the Commanders least of all because like anyone from our age group has literally never seen us be successful. So It's like, what is there to hate? Like you're beating up on like the smallest kid in school. He's already had a tough go of it.
I'll say this: when the Cowboys are bad, like when Dallas and Washington are both bad, Cowboy fans are more annoying about it because they still think they're good even when they suck.
Yeah.
But to Modai's point originally, like it'd be like if we grew up anywhere not the DMV, yeah, I'd probably dislike the Cowboys more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine. Cool. Andrew, anything you want to add as a non-NFC guy?
Not really. What are your NFC East hated teams most to least, Griffin?
It's Cowboys by a mile, and then Commanders. Well, actually, and then Dan Snyder's Redskins.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then Dan Snyder's Washington football team, which I hate less because I did like the Washington football team.
That's a great name.
There was only 2 years there, and they went to the playoffs one of those years.
Yeah, batting 500. That's incredible. Also, I thought it was a really good team name. Like, unironically, I think it's a great team name. I thought it was really cool.
I agree.
And then Giants, Eagles, current Commanders. I know that I'm supposed to hate the Eagles, and I like generally, obviously, have a lot of beef with Philly sports because so many Philly teams, like what in basically every sport, they're rivals with DC teams, they're Mid-Atlantic teams.
Yeah.
I really don't have the hatred for the Eagles that a lot of people do. I think they've got a lot of great guys on their team. I like them as an organization. I really, really got into their Super Bowl run. What was that, like 6 years ago now? 7 years ago?
We all we need.
Yeah. We all we got, we all we need. Thomas used to say that, and I used to be like, Bird Gang, baby. I don't know. Like, I just didn't hate that team. And I feel like every year, particularly because the Commanders and the Redskins and the Washington football team have been bad for so long, I just I don't care about that rivalry. Like, it's kind of like Duke and Maryland. Like, I don't care about Duke anymore. We don't play them anymore. And even when we do, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys are insufferable. Like, their fans, if they win one game, even if they've lost the previous 5, they're like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. Shut the fuck up.
My issue with Cowboys fans is I don't know a single Cowboys fan who's a Dallas sports fan. Yeah. I know a Cowboys fan who's a Nets fan, who I'm not going to call out on this podcast.
Well, you kind of just did, because we all know him. I'm not going to be part of this reasoning because I'm a Lakers fan, and so people assume that I'm also, by virtue of not being an LA guy by birth, they also assume that I'm a Dallas fan and an Alabama fan and a Duke fan and a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
I don't like any of those teams, to be very clear. I just like the Lakers. But
you also like the Wizards.
Yes. Yes,
So-
I do. It and liking the Lakers kind of made up for how much I liked the Wizards, because it's just pain every year, and the Lakers are the only thing that keep me away from the edge, we'll say.
I think the biggest rivalry is us and quick intros.
That's true. That's true. Last thing I'm going to say, a lot of people commented on the number of beards on this podcast on our YouTube video this past week. I feel like we always have beards. I don't think this is a change, but I guess people have recently decided that we're beard guys.
One of these lists will have to place a bet. Loser shaves.
Ooh, not that bad of a bet. I'm happy to shave.
Can we wait
my
till
fiance if that's that bad of a bet?
yeah?
If she
Can we wait till
wins my-
after my wedding? In case
You
I
don't want?
lose.
Are you going to be clean faced for the wedding? Or are you going to have a beard? We don't need to talk about this right now. We don't
I'm
need to talk
allowed to
about this
be.
right now. Our topic this week, like I said at the start of the show, which at this point was 10 minutes ago, we're fine. Rivalries, order is me, Thomas, Andrew, Modi. Just like every other week when we're just doing a standard list, we're all going to go through our fives, then we're all going to go through our fours, our threes, our twos, our ones. We will have a recap at the end, and then either at the end of this episode or potentially as an additional clip that you can find on our social media profiles, we will have our honorable mentions. This is an easy one to have a lot of honorable mentions, so I imagine we will have some there. So be on the lookout for that. I said at the top of the show, make sure you're following us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. I'm going first. I had a lot of trouble figuring out my number 5. It was between two different, very, very iconic groups of individuals. I'll tell you at the end of the episode who I did not choose, but I'm going to go with Goku and Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z.
That's a good one.
Potentially the greatest rivalry in anime, in manga. Two guys. I know that I've been the DBZ guy before on this show. I'm going to do it again. I hesitate to call them friends, although they have a positively combative relationship. Started out as enemies, tried to kill each other many, many times, always up each other in level and power and fighting ability every single time one of them gets a little bit stronger. DBZ at this point is essentially just the Goku and Vegeta show of the two of them trying to exceed one another. And it's been going for like 35 years at this point. So this is a pretty iconic rivalry in my mind.
Yeah, this is a great pick. I'm surprised it was only your number 5 and not higher. So I'm curious what the next 4 are. As someone who has recently read all of the Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super manga, I feel very qualified to answer this. It's a great pick. It's like the classic sports rivalry where you think of like I forget. There's 2 tennis guys, McEnroe, and I forget who the other one was. Where McEnroe would be like, I had to wake up early and work out because I know this. Yeah, that's what. Because I know this other guy was. So it like kind of reminds me of that, where Vegeta's like always trying to surpass Goku, Kakarot as he calls him. Goku always kind of generally wins at the end, which pisses off Vegeta. No, it's a great pick.
Yeah, I like the pick. I haven't done my due diligence as much as Matt, but did love Dragon Ball Z as a kid, and it's a great rivalry. I also love that they fused together, if I'm not mistaken, twice, which is that's the mark of any good rivalry, is that you become one.
Yeah, gay sex. Yeah. You're rivals, and then you have intercourse with one another.
I don't remember that as a kid.
Yeah, Gogeta and Vegito. They're products of butt stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to add. Didn't really watch Dragon Ball Z. I know who the characters are, but that's about it.
We're like 3 years since I think the first time that I mentioned DBZ in one of my lists, and at that point you're like, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add. Didn't watch DBZ. Did not correct that at all, which I understand. You're a grown ass man. You don't need to be watching DBZ. Although again, Modi has done that very recently. But I'll take the positive feedback. I appreciate it. Tom, all you.
I after Modi mentioned tennis, I realized I should have done 7 Days of Hell because it's such a good movie,
So good.
show, whatever. But my actual number 5 is Bugs Bunny versus Hunters. Now that's grouping Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, and Martian Manhunter all together. But Bugs Bunny versus any of them because it's just true comedic genius.
Okay, so I have one question off the jump. Does Bugs Bunny ever lose to these hunters? Is this a rivalry, or is this him emotionally traumatizing men with guns?
Okay, here's the thing. You do this with every topic. You go with your definition.
I'm just asking you. I'm asking you.
They are rivals because one's trying to kill the other and the other one's trying to survive. So they have opposing forces going against each other.
You do this every time. You sound like my wife.
They don't have to be one. They don't have to go back and forth.
So that's a good clarification, is that you do not feel that there needs to be a back and forth. It can be a one-sided rivalry, and you're good with it.
I mean, in terms of one usually wins, yeah. Like the Eagles and Commanders.
Well, I disavow. I'm not getting.
I don't know that I would say one usually wins. One team has more. We're not. Yeah, the Commanders win more. Whatever. We're not doing this.
I think that one-sided rivalries are okay, but it's got to be a really it's got to be something really good. I'm not mad about this. You know, I like Bugs Bunny, and it's funny. So okay, it deserves 5. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I think that's good. It just reminds me of as a kid when you're like sneaking around after like having a sleepover when you're like trying not to wake up your parents. The go-to was always like, "Shh, we're hunting for wabbits." So it just that kind of just has survived childhood into adulthood now.
I guess I should have said this before, but and I don't mean to. Hopefully, this isn't also on your list. But did you consider Bugs Bunny versus Daffy Duck, or you specifically wanted the hunters?
There was a lot of thought.
Okay, all right, that's all that I asked. Just made sure that you did your due diligence.
I'll be honest. I did consider Bugs Bunny at one point. So even though I pushed back on you, I also considered Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, I mean, like if you'd asked me to make a winners list, Bugs Bunny would probably also be on that. You're right; he wins a lot. But number 5, it's a 5.
All right, my number 5, and I'll say for all mine, I didn't do any sports. I just figured let's switch it up. Let's not do sports today. So my number 5 is pancakes versus waffles. To me, these are 2 elite breakfast foods that people have strong opinions about, one way or the other. So for that reason, for me, it deserved a spot on the list.
All right. First question off the bat: is this ignoring French toast as an option, or pancakes waffles because they're more similar than French toast?
I'm not using this time to take an opinion on French toast.
Okay,
It may be way above these. It may be somewhere around. All I'm saying is that pancakes and waffles are bigger rivals to each other. It's not saying that French toast isn't necessarily better than both of them.
That's what I need to know. It is, by the way, but that's what I need to know. That's what I need to know.
Agreed with that point. French toast is not a rival with these because it's so much better. This is a good pick, Andrew. I not only appreciate that you're avoiding sports entirely, because we do go to that well pretty often. Starting off with a food choice, it's good. That's good. I like that. I'm with that.
That was a fat guy breath that you did.
Of course, it was a fat guy breath. I have become fat guy.
That's a really good pick. I wish I was more creative with some of mine after hearing that, but no, that's really good. It's a really good pick. I don't have any. I wish I had criticism because that's what makes it fun, but I don't.
Yeah, to save time,
you can criticize him like on a personal level. You can be like, "Yeah, Andrew, you're kind of a fat guy too. Don't make fun of Griffin." I don't know.
Yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there, Matt. Usually, when they can't criticize my list, they try to break me down as a human.
I love food. I love breakfast food. To save time, I'm not going to give my opinion on them, but it's a great pick.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Do you have? I mean, just asking. Do you have did you consider? Maybe it's later on your list. Bacon versus sausage.
No, I didn't consider it actually. But I think it's because you'll see my list. I wanted variety. So I got a breakfast food and then I moved on.
He doesn't go immediately towards meat the way that you do, Tom.
Can't believe
you're the Goku and Vegeta of our group.
All right. I also tried to kind of switch up my rivalries. I do have one sports one though. My first one. So this is going to sound random if nobody knows this story, but it's Puma versus Adidas. Does anybody know the origin of those two companies? Just curious.
Nazi Germany?
Something with Nazis.
basically, so they're started by brothers, and I learned this in school when I was, which is why I find the story kind of interesting. But it was started by brothers. They started a shoe company together in 1919, and then like 30 years later, they had a falling out. So one brother, so like that company ceased operations, and then one brother started a shoe company, Puma, and the other one was like, well, fuck you, I'm also starting a shoe company, and he started Adidas. So basically, like two of the most successful shoe retail companies started because two brothers had a falling out and hated each other. And some of the stories kind of funny. Like part of the reason why they're feud rumors because their wives hated each other, which I find that kind of fun. Also, one of them fought in World War II and thought that the other brother enlisted him, and so like that also sparked the rivalry. And in 1970, they made a pact not to sign Pele in the World Cup, and then Puma broke that promise and signed him, which I just thought was hilarious. I'm always Team Petty. So yeah, this one's not like super fun or anything. I just like legitimately think it's an interesting rivalry.
No, I would say it is fun because it is interesting. And I would not have thought of it. It's hard for me not to include like other brands in this, like in general, but when you get specific about like how it started, I think that's great. So an unexpected, but I'd say a good pick.
Yeah, absolutely a good pick. Again, not one that I would have thought of either. Would not even have cracked my top 100 because it just wouldn't have come up. But a good pick. I find it interesting that in 1919, tail end of the Great Depression, they were like, you know what the world needs?
Shoes.
Athletic wear.
Yeah, no, that's a good
true.
point. No, this is a good pick, and thank you for that little history lesson. I enjoyed listening to that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Real quick before we get to round two, I just feel like we're all having really good picks, and that's great. And it's fun, but we're also all agreeing and tell each other we have good picks, and I don't like that as much.
I can do better. I can do better.
Yeah. We'll get meaner. Here's what I'll say about that though. This is our fifth pick. Like this is the least of our picks. If we're gonna say positive things about him, let's say it when it doesn't matter all that much. If we get to the first pick, our number one, and we're all like, oh yeah, fucking banger pick, then yeah, I mean, maybe we end the pod again and we get rid of Modi and we try and reboot this again 8 months down the line. Who's to say?
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Now that I said that, also just like, don't be mean to me.
Yeah, I thought you were maybe just censoring yourself. I thought you were maybe just cussing us out. And that's why you...
It feels like you specifically want us to be mean to you, and I don't want to like dive into what that is, but
like a kink.
I know.
That feels a little bit like a kink. All right. Yeah. Okay. Number four. Number 4. Yeah, that is the number that comes after 5, I guess, before 5. Kind of a weird one. Not sure how you guys are going to be receptive to this. Thinking you might be a little mean to me about this. Left Twix and right Twix.
They're the same thing.
They're not the same thing. They're specifically not the same thing. I'm not going to say anything else, but they're not the same.
You have been fooled.
So you're right.
You have been duped by marketing. They're the same thing.
Yeah, which one's the right, which one's the left? How do you tell?
One of them has a little bit more of a dick vein on it.
Yeah, this is dumb.
You're thinking of
bad
Snickers.
pick.
But which one?
I love food.
It's a good question. Who's to
Right
say?
or left?
Well, I would assume
So
when you open the package, it would be whichever one is on the right or which is on the left.
What if you just turn it around? Then they're flipped.
Right, but isn't a package like listed in a certain direction?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's listed top and bottom because the
Right.
writing goes
Okay,
this
so
way.
read a Twix package, right?
Yes.
It
left
says
to right.
TWIX in one direction. Where the T starts is the top, and where the X is the bottom. Because it's not called
It's long ways. It's long ways. It's long ways. You're reading it long ways. So there's a top and bottom. There's not a right and left.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's long ways. What are you talking about?
You're reading Twix left to right. They're horizontal. The pieces aren't up and down. So you're looking at a top piece and a bottom piece, not a right piece, left piece.
Right. But if you were to rotate them clockwise, the T would be at the top.
Yeah, but if you rotate it
because otherwise it's upside down.
No, bad pick. Bad pick.
Yeah, I'm glad Thomas said something so we could just pretend like. Well, I would have said good pick if Thomas didn't tell us we were being too nice to each other. But the reality is, it's not a good pick. And that's not why I'm saying that.
Well, I'm
Capitalism
very
won.
confused by your perspective on it, Modai. I don't know if you like it or you don't like it.
I would have respected Twix versus any other candy bar more than this pick.
Yeah. Capitalism.
I
and
don't think I would
marketing
put
won
Twix
today.
as like a. I mean, does Twix have a rivalry with other candy bars? I guess I could have done like.
More so than itself.
See, I don't agree. They have two
Unless-
factories, and the brothers feud with each
They
other.
don't.
It was a
They
very
don't.
big part of the commercials.
Again,
Unless this is
by
your way of
marketing.
telling me that Twix is sponsoring up, bad pick.
Oh, if they're sponsoring us, I will.
Great.
Does
I will-
Twix
great
need
pick,
to
great pick.
sponsor anyone who's not aware of Twix? Granted, I mean, I guess you could make the same argument for like Coca-Cola, but the Coke and Pepsi rivalry runs really deep.
That would have.
Yeah, well, Griffin, let's just move on because you need help.
I didn't want to do Coke and Pepsi because one of our buddies lives where Pepsi started, and I refuse to support that town.
All right, we're gonna move on to my pick because I'm just hot now. This is a personal favorite. It's a classic big idiot versus a little idiot, and it's Foghorn Leghorn versus Henry the Hawk, the Chicken Hawk.
Yeah, I think
It's a rivalry.
I think I see the direction that you're going in with your list. You got basically all Looney Tunes / cartoons. What about this rivalry put it ahead of Bugs Bunny versus Hunters for you?
Just my general enjoyment of their episodes together, like my fond memories of it,
Okay.
and the fact that he's trying to catch a chicken because he's a chicken hawk, but it's a rooster. Doesn't make any sense. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, I got nothing to add on this one. Good or bad?
I have pushback on this. I think continuing to go to the Looney Tunes, passe, played out. I'm kind of over it already.
This
If
isn't
you had
for you.
said, I mean, actually, I'm not going to say if you had said because you might get to some of these. You might get to some of these later, so we'll hold back on this. But if there are a couple that I think are coming, then maybe we'll jump to it.
It just feels like a better pick than two pieces of candy. They're in the same package and are the same thing.
That's true. Although I think there was a point where you could get the packages were labeled differently.
They were still the same thing.
Right? No, I know. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure they did do a thing where there was a point where you could get like 2 right Twix and 2 left Twix. Right? Am I making that up?
No, they tricked you.
Why did you
The
start talking
package
about
said
Twix again?
2 lefts, but they were the same.
I'm just kind of a fat guy. I could eat. I'm just saying. If somebody wants to like Uber Eats me some candy,
Some Twix.
I don't know if that's an option on Uber Eats. I will eat them.
I want Twix now. I will give you that much, but that's all I'll give you. My number 4 is beach versus mountains. So, these are 2 vacation destinations that are very popular, and they have a long-standing rivalry. I think, beach people are beach people, and mountain people are mountain people, and they don't like each other.
I mean, you guys are coming up with some, like, not bad, other than Griffin's, but left field for me. Like, good pick. Never would have considered it. You're right. It's a continual conversation people have and debate. So
I was walking with Julia this morning, and I told her that I was considering this one as an option, as she thought it was a good pick. I did not choose it as an option, but I guess you get half credit for Julia. So,
all right,
good job.
This is a great pick. I feel like it's topical because my wife's a beach person and I'm a mountain person. So I understand that. I don't have anything bad to say. It's a great pick and it's creative, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's a good overall pick.
Thank you. Hopefully I can build up your guys' trust and then just smash it and kill it with my number 1 pick.
I'm sure you can. You can.
I've done it before.
All right. My number 4 is not one that I think will get a ton of pushback. This one's a little bit more exciting. It's Obi-Wan versus Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. For me, the rivalries that I find the most interesting are sort of when there's like they were friends or brothers or whatever, and then turned enemies because there was like some emotion there. And obviously, I had to have something nerdy on my list. And yeah, so I just Revenge of the Sith did a good job, kind of kind of detailing the fracture. So yeah, this is my number 4.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Modai. Break kayfabe a little bit for anyone who's listening. We like to alert each other within the episode about which ones we want to go first on if we have a particular point about it. And I wrote in all caps, me, because obviously I want to respond to the Star Wars one. And Andrew made me laugh because he said, we know. You guys could be the Star Wars guys. I don't know. I don't need to have like a... Modai's the one who made the pick. I do have a tattoo. That's true. I do have a Star Wars tattoo. Modai, I wanna shit on this pick. And you can find some flaws in it. You could argue that they were only rivals for a very limited amount of time that they were on screen together and in stories together, but they are kind of an iconic rivalry. You could probably also argue, Luke and Darth Vader, but Obi-Wan and Darth Vader kind of represent entirely different viewpoints on the Force and on morality and things like that. So from that perspective, I really do like this as a pick. I like that you're here to save me from being exclusively the Star Wars guy. I do see a Star Wars painting in your background, so I appreciate that. Is that you and your wife and your dogs?
Yeah, it was a wedding gift from my
That's
cousin,
incredible.
which is honestly one of the best gifts I've ever received in my entire life. It's very good.
Is that like Clone Wars style art?
I think so, yeah. And my Carson is like wearing the vest, so he's Han.
Oh my god,
it's really good. It's really
awesome good.
Gift.
If you're not watching the YouTube video, maybe I don't know how we're going to show you, but it's really good.
Griffin's bricked up right now.
It's certainly not a bad pick. Is it still a rivalry if in the end, like, people make up? Like, in general, I don't know. Like, I think it's a good pick. I think it's probably, in terms of Star Wars universe, like, the rivalry you think of. And, like, I think it's a good pick. But, I don't know, kind of the fact that they make up in the end, I don't know.
Well, Darth kind of kills Obi-Wan, and then he becomes like a Force ghost. So you can make the argument that that's the end of it.
Yeah, but
he makes him more powerful than you could ever imagine. Really,
also
he's
true.
doing him he's helping him out
in a lot of ways. He's doing the galaxy a favor by striking down his friend. I don't know why I'm arguing this. It's not my pick.
I feel like the best rivalries are the friends we made along the way. It's not necessarily about how it ends. So
I mean, I did like what you said, Modai, like, and you have a theme already where like brothers turn rivals, which makes for a good story.
Makes me cry in a theater. That's gonna get me.
It's also my last one of that theme, but glad that you liked the first two.
So you said
okay, so two of the 5 had that theme. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Good stuff. On to my number 3 in a completely different direction. The United States versus the Soviet Union.
It's on my list.
Do you have more to say, or?
I don't really know how much needs to be said about this one. It's kind of like the major geopolitical conflict of the last. Granted, the Soviet Union itself has fallen, but we could even just say Russia. It kind of defined the post-World War II era up through the dawn of the millennium, determined America's place at the top of the world hierarchy, continues to have massive downstream effects on politics and cultures and the economy. There's probably going to be some big ones in the selections, and there might be some that are more personal. I don't know that this is necessarily the most personal pick that I'm going to make, but in terms of far-reaching effects, I'll say this is probably going to beat out the majority of them.
Yeah, no, it's a good pick. And there's many rivalries within the bigger rivalry, the space race, the nuclear arms race, like all the little steps.
Miracle on Ice.
The Miracle on Ice.
Miracle on Ice.
I mean, it's a good point.
Right there.
Unironically. Good. Good, serious pick, Griffin.
That was
Thanks,
kind of
Dad.
my question. Like, were you narrowing it down to something specific? It's
So
certainly obviously
to
not
very,
a bad
very
pick.
quickly answer that, I had initially put down the space race, and then I was like, well, it kind of goes a lot beyond the space race. So
Yeah, like everything you said makes sense. It's a global affecting rivalry. It's not really a fun pick though. Not gonna lie to you. But it's certainly not a bad pick.
it's fun if you're American because we won.
Is it? Did we?
Well, that's a good
Everybody lost.
question. We thought we won. Maybe we didn't win.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, we can move on if we're good.
Yeah.
I think mine is probably on the same level.
You think so?
So yeah, and I think it's expected at this point. It is Roadrunner versus
Yeah.
Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
I think when people think Looney Tunes and they think of two characters going at it, even more than Bugs Bunny and someone else, these two come to mind.
I can think of two more that are probably I won't say
It's a
because it's probably gonna be number
classic-
two.
classic, just duke 'em out rivalry that once again is pretty one sided. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah. This one I like the most of the three, but they're all very similar and they're all very one-sided.
It's actually, I'm kind of realizing is maybe the
How are
theme
you holding that note?
of Looney Tunes rivalries is like
One always
someone
wins.
loses all the time, always.
The message is if you're a loser, you'll always be a loser.
Always
You'll be a loser until you die.
Yeah.
Even when it looks like you're about to win, you will lose.
No,
Yeah.
it's just the lesson is be better than the other person.
Actually, I now I know what your number one's going to be, and I don't think it's going to be Looney Tunes, but I got it up here. I got it. Up here.
Is it
I'm
going to
gonna
be
write it down.
Looney Tunes adjacent?
I know what Andrew thinks it is, and he's wrong.
Okay. All right.
I have a
yeah,
suspicion as to
thank
what
you.
I
Great
think
pick.
it is.
Great pick, thank you.
Look, I mean, are you going outside the box? No, you're not. Like, these are good picks, but they're bad. They're good picks in a vacuum. They're bad picks as an overall, like, I'm just going to watch one show for my entire life and everything's going to be from that.
Here's the thing. Here, to my defense that I don't need because I think I'm doing great. I really was expecting you guys to go all sports. So I picked a theme thinking you guys would be in a box together, and you guys have. There's not been one sport rivalry yet, and you guys have really screwed me here.
So in a lot of ways, we let you down.
You let me down.
I do think we all have tried to big brain this list. And
I
but
said
thought it was-
Twix.
I
I
thought it
said
was-
2 pieces of chocolate.
I thought it was going to be like Duke, North Carolina, Yankees, Red Sox, like just down the list. But I like us.
I don't like us, but I appreciate that we have absolutely gone outside the box. Well, 3 of us have gone outside of the box. One of us is the box. He lives in the box. He's on the street living in that box. He was born in that box. He'll die in that box.
I'm outside,
just like a Looney Tunes character.
I'm outside of the box, and I put myself in a different box. A theme. I'm in the theme.
Whatever. Andrew,
All
you
right.
go next. Please go.
Yeah. My number 3 is going to be morning people versus night people. This is a rivalry for the ages, and I know that Griffin has beef with morning people. And I'd like to think Thomas has beef with night people just because he has to get up early. I don't know if that makes him a morning person or not, but these people are always at odds. Interesting fact, sometimes these can be the same person and they fuck each other over. So yeah, it's a fun rivalry.
I don't know if that's an interesting fact. Andrew, did you recently get a job with HR? Because I feel like all your picks are like icebreaker questions for like a company of a treat.
Yeah. And in fact, I've put a poll in the chat, and I would like everyone to respond whether you're a morning person or a night person, and what your superpower would be.
Like your other ones, not a bad pick. I feel like a very middle of the road classic debate end question. I'm kind of a morning person. I'm more productive in the morning, but I don't like that. because I'm tired, but I'm definitely the most productive in the morning.
Yeah, as a morning person and obviously on the right side, I appreciate this pick a lot. And I also feel like morning people and night people marry each other. There's like no one of both of the same in a relationship. No, this is a good pick, another creative one. And yeah, I true rivalry. Everybody has an opinion on it.
This is another one that I told Julie about while we were walking. I didn't want to pick it. Andrew, you're knocking off a lot of these. It makes me think that maybe you guys had a conversation after she and I went for a walk. Modi, did you say that these people, two morning people, don't marry each other, or they do marry each other?
I'm saying morning people and night people marry each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. When people say opposites attract, that's like usually the first thing I think of is who wants to wake up early and who wants to go to bed late, which maybe is healthy. Probably a good thing because you're not spending like 1,000% of your time with your partner. You have like your own built-in segmented time. Good pick, Andrew. Like I said, I was going to pick it, and I didn't pick it, so it didn't make my top 5. So it's not good enough for my list, but kind of by definition, it's good enough for yours.
Well, that's interesting because it is better than all your picks so far. So
you liked Goku and Vegeta.
I liked it as like a number 57.
So you're saying top 100?
Yeah. When we get 10,000 subscribers, we'll do a 24-hour stream and do our top 10,000.
That's not that many subscribers, and yet I would still absolutely do that.
Yeah, because you're a night person.
I would do that for 10,000.
I am a night person. That's true. We could switch off. Morning people at certain times, night people at other times.
It'd be perfect.
Yeah. It's actually the perfect plan. All right. Modi?
Yeah, all right. My third one, Mario versus Bowser. You can make the argument that it is a one-sided rivalry because it is a one-sided rivalry. Mario wins every single time. Also, pretty sure that Bowser keeps kidnapping Peach just because she wants to bang her, which we don't need to get into that part. We just need to go through the rivalry.
I think we should
I do give props to Bowser, who keeps trying and trying. It's like, this is topical for this week, and it's like Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. One wins every single time, but you still think that next one could be you. It's like when Charlie Brown goes to kick that field goal, maybe the ball will still be there this time. Incredibly influential in my childhood as a Mario guy, as a Nintendo guy. So Mario versus Bowser.
Certainly a great pick. You had me in the first half because you said no brothers again, and I thought you were going to say, you said Mario, and I was like, here comes Luigi. This guy's doing brothers. No, classic pick. Great antagonist, protagonist. Classic. I mean, the classic video game duo.
Yeah, great pick. I would push back a little bit on which is the protagonist and which is the antagonist, which one Peach is more interested in. I'm just saying, I think at a certain point, Bowser might not be kidnapping her. Mario might just not be reading the room. But that's probably a discussion for a different episode.
There's an alternate universe where
seen...
Mario's always kidnapping Peach away from Bowser.
Have you guys seen the movies? They both make it very clear.
Have you the live action movie?
The live action and the animated. Bowser's a creep.
The animated movie is really good, and Bowser is a creep in it. That's true. True. But if there's ever a wicked version of it from Bowser's perspective, maybe we're going to find out that really these were like their loving trysts away from their weird, creepy plumber friend. I don't know. We don't know.
Like Romeo and Juliet.
Not everything is wicked. But
this could be wicked.
Thomas, to your point, though, I'm glad that Modi, you left off Luigi because everyone knows his biggest rival is, corporate America. But then, but I actually don't think this is a one-sided rivalry because, if the player controlling Mario is not winning consistently, then Bowser is arguably getting more wins than Mario. Then once Mario gets one win, then it just happens to be over.
That's a good point.
There's a chance that of all the people who have ever played Mario, more have not beaten the game than have. So, like, Bowser might be in the win category.
Yeah.
I think he's almost definitely in the win category.
So
right?
makes it an even better pick because it's not a one-sided rivalry. So thank
That
you.
makes it a better pick. You're right.
Plus, he hits a lot of home runs in Mario Baseball.
Yeah. See, Bowser
Oh, huge power guy.
Bowser just comes and puts in the work and does his business. Like, he gets a win and he just goes quietly. Like, Mario does this whole pomp and circumstance when he wins like one out of like 1,000. So
Yeah,
I respect
Bowser got a
Bowser.
lot of Otani to him. Mario got a lot of Juan Soto to him, which is now, very recently, a bad thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough.
All right, Griffin.
Good pick.
All right, yeah. My number 2, I am going to finally go into the sports realm, and I'm going to make a pick that is probably not going to be surprising to any of you. Shaq and Kobe.
That's a good one.
This is kind of in the realm of brothers to enemies to arguably kind of brothers. Again, obviously, we didn't see, what that relationship would have really become, but they won 3 rings together. It was a very, very contentious process. They would attack each other in the media. They would attack each other on the court. Very, very, very hyped up sports rivalry. Shaq won his 4th ring. Then Kobe won his 4th. Then Kobe won his 5th. And the first thing he said was, "Now I got one more than Shaq." And then they mended fences as time went on. But it was like maybe the highlight of that era of basketball was the rivalry between those two guys, both when they were winning and when they weren't.
Yeah, really, really good pick. I feel like even like quote unquote rivalries this day and age, they still like respect each other. There's no rivalry where they're like actually hate each other. At least not that I can. There's probably something that I'm missing, but not that I can think of. Definitely defined 2000s basketball, and very memeable with the Shaq saying, "Tell me how my ass tastes." One of my favorite memes to send to people when you want to talk shit. So no, really, really, really good pick.
You took the words right out of my mouth. That the "Tell Me How My Ass Tastes" video that carried me through middle school, high school. I don't know what it was, but at the time, I don't know why that carried me through.
What were you going through that carried you through an entire time at school?
I don't know, but I love it.
Andrew was. We all were. Andrew's really into that.
Andrew had a rivalry with not getting bullied.
It came up with him a lot.
Also,
sure.
Shaq. I mean, at that point, Shaq had already started his quest to be in every commercial and do every product placement in the world. So it was like, you'd be drinking like a Shaq soda or like using Icy Hot, at 14 years old apparently, and thinking of Shaq just dissing Kobe.
You were a very sore child.
Yeah.
It's a good pick. It's definitely not like the basketball rivalry I would think of first. But like that's just because I'm not as into it as you two. Like it's just not what I would think of. Like I'd probably say like Magic Bird first,
Sure.
But I think in terms of again just the storyline in general and the time that they did it together and against each other, it's a great pick.
I imagine if I was a little bit older, or if we were a little bit older, I probably would have done Magic Bird, and I would guess that if I was a little younger, it would have been, LeBron and Curry or LeBron and KD or something like that. It feels like this was the one that kind of defined our teenage years.
LeBron and Jordan.
LeBron and Jordan, sure, yeah.
Is they actually hated each other. All the other rivalries, like there's like mutual respect. And then it's like
Magic and Bird, homies. Even like after games, before games, like during a very contentious era of basketball, those guys were still super ride or die for each other.
Yeah.
All right, on number 2, similar to Shaq and Kobe, to like legends of the game. Some classic and dare I say legendary content. And screw you, Andrew. It's Bugs Bunny versus Daffy Duck.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
And I think all I really need to say is just rabbit season, duck season. It's a skit that will always be funny.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this makes sense with the direction you're going in. This is where it was bound to end up, and I apologize that I played the spoiler role, but someone had to do it.
Yeah, me. It was supposed to be me.
You showed your hand a little bit. We knew the direction that you were going in.
Yeah, don't give me money and expect me to not think Daffy Duck.
I mean,
That's true.
Yeah, I I didn't say it was gonna be a surprise.
If Matt Ferentinos was on this episode, somebody says Bugs Bunny, what is he thinking first? And again, he guesses Lola Bunny. That's what he's thinking. He's not thinking Daffy Duck.
Okay, you don't have to say Bugs Bunny. He's thinking Lola Bunny before he even wakes up in the morning.
He's a morning guy. He's a morning person, and so is
Dreaming
Lola
about
Bunny.
Lola Bunny.
I do love Lola Bunny.
You love Space Jam 1, Lola Bunny.
I love Space Jam 1 Lola Bunny.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you know, before they changed her, just like old green M&M you used to love.
Oh yeah.
And the left Twix.
And
The most sexual of the Twix.
Enough with the veiny Twix.
yeah, no, stop trying to make Twix happen. All right, it's not.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah, God. The worst.
Good pick. I mean, look, did we know it was coming? Sure. But Bugs Bunny, look, iconic cartoons, iconic slapstick icon. I just said iconic twice in a sentence. But yeah, I can't hate on this pick.
All right, my number 2 is a battle between the second and third most consumed drinks in the world. I think I could be wrong. Coffee versus tea. This is another one where it's like you're one or the other, and this is like a global debate. I would argue that this is one-sided, that coffee just doesn't even play in the same category as tea. It just destroys tea. But a lot of the world would disagree with me, so I respect that enough to have it as the number 2 on my list.
Are there people that are like, I know like people that drink both coffee and tea. I think there are people that do.
I know people
do
that
both.
drink Coke and Pepsi.
Yeah,
I know
Nazis.
people that eat both the Twix.
But you said like
Yeah, that's a good rebuttal, Andrew. I drink coffee and tea. I think I would probably consider the coffee guy, but I love tea. But I think much like morning people versus night people and beach people versus mountain or lake people, you do definitely have a preference, and that's your preference your entire life.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, you're a bitch.
There you go.
Can't. It's a tough rebuttal.
I definitely drink coffee more, but like I drink tea. I to me they're not like I don't think of them the same way. Like they're both hot drinks, obviously, but I'm not. I don't see myself as one or the other because I just don't consider them similar enough to even have to pick one.
Andrew, can I take this one?
Sure.
Thomas, you're wrong. They're often considered in opposition to each other.
Is it often considered by me? Did I just say I don't consider them? Fuck off. I said I
think
don't.
you're making this up.
I don't think. Oh, should I have coffee or tea? Because they're so close. I either want coffee or I want tea.
Let me jump in here, and I'm not going to put words into your mouth because you clearly don't do that. But I will speak for society when I say that.
He's going to storm off.
That a lot of people pick one for their caffeine source, and that's why they're often pitted against each other. Like they're like, I must have one or the other because it's a way to get caffeine into my body.
But half the teas out there are supposed to put you to sleep.
Yeah, well, I'm not. You're not going to see me defending tea.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. Sleepy time teas
exist.
Arguably, I can't believe I'm saying this. I feel weird saying this. Tea should be the predominant thing in that rivalry because it has more utility. Like, yeah, do I like coffee better? Sure, but tea can kind of do anything.
Versatile.
But what coffee does, it does so much better than
but
does it?
But I think also
is a cup of coffee more caffeinated than a cup of? I don't know how much caffeine is in the average thing of tea. Okay,
it is.
I do think globally, like tea is like if it was a poll, tea would win globally, not in America. But I think tea would win globally.
We specifically kind of made that part of our national identity that tea was kind of on the outs.
Yeah.
And I just, once again, I do think Andrew's working for HR because it just does feel like a bunch of company.
Yeah, I got tired of it.
I feel like he read a listicle right before the episode. Like he was a little late to getting into the Zoom room. Kind of feels like he was Googling best rivalries.
It does feel like that, but Did I Google it once? Sure, but like, did I get most of these picks from any Googling? Honestly,
Sure.
no. Honestly, no. I just tried to look around the house and think of things that that are almost like I thought of like duopolies, like things that are in twos. And I thought
That's
that
how
would
I
be
figured out United States, Soviet Union. I looked around the house and I thought, which part of this reminds me of Soviet Russia?
And
Yeah.
what part of
Yeah.
it did? What was it? What
And
brought
all
you
of
to
it did
that?
because you're a communist.
It was Vino, who's a big Trump supporter.
Big guy.
Yeah, big guy.
I
All right,
mean,
yeah, good pick.
I much like all your picks, a fine classic debate pick.
This is a ChatGPT ass list from Andrew.
I use ChatGPT all the time. I promise you, I did not
You
for this.
do use it more than anyone I know. I'm just look. I'm not casting aspersions on you. I'm just saying you could be replaced by an AI.
Who's to say I haven't already been?
I mean, a lot of us probably could.
Oh.
All right, my number 2 has already been mentioned. Duke. It's the only sports one on my list. Duke versus UNC. I generally am on the boat that college rivalries are better than professional rivalries because it's like people change teams in professional sports. Like Zach Ertz would spend 9 years with the Eagles. Now he's trying to beat them in the NFC Championship game. And whereas college rivalries are like so one-sided and they're also just seem to be the most heated. It's different now with no Coach K and no Roy Williams, and that nobody plays more than 1 year in college basketball, and that the landscape of college sports are crazy. But when I think of like the best rivalries in sports, I think of Duke versus UNC.
Now, are you talking specifically basketball?
Yeah, basketball. Because football, nobody. I'm sure they're rivals in non-major sports, but yeah, I'm thinking basketball.
Yeah, I think like within their colleges, they're rivals and everything. But like for people like us who, I'm not a fan of either, the rivalry is basketball based.
Yeah. No, this is a good pick. I like I said, I thought this was going to be on everyone's list. Now this is the second pick that I've spoiled, so I have no regrets.
ChatGPT fucking us up again.
And also, fuck Duke.
Yeah, it's always been fuck Duke. Although, and I've made this argument before, I care so much less about the whole Duke beef than when they because they don't play our preferred school anymore. But in terms of college rivalries and sports rivalries, definitely one of the iconic ones, one of the better ones. Some really, really incredible games between the two, both decades ago and in very recent years. Coach K's last season, I don't know if you guys remember.
His last 2 losses.
Yep. It was like the last regular season game and then his last tournament game, right?
In his last home game.
The content that came out of Duke losing those games. And I'm not even like a UNC guy, but I'm a UNC guy over Duke. Just the most immaculate, the most perfect like sports content that I've ever heard.
UNC beating them, his last home game in the regular season and his last game ever. It's just too good to script. It was just so juicy.
It felt like Luke throwing or Vader throwing Sidious down the pipe shaft and killing. It's two teams that I don't necessarily like, but I'm absolutely going to side with one over the other.
Yeah.
It's not one I like have a personal attachment or care about really, but if someone said college rivalries, I mean, it's at the top of most lists. It's probably in everyone's top 5, So, I mean, in that sense, it's a great pick because it's one that everyone knows, if nothing else.
Yeah, agreed.
Took us a while to get to sports, but boy, did we get there. Can't keep us down. All right. My number 1 pick, very East Coast versus West Coast, Biggie versus Tupac, and the East Coast rap scene versus the West Coast rap scene. Don't really know how much I necessarily really need to say about this. This is the rap beef. This is the rap rivalry. This is maybe one of the most influential rivalries in music ever. Both guys ended up dead because of it. Both guys, incredible, top of their game before they died. Really no low points for either of them musically. Not the positive end to a rivalry that we see from like the U.S. versus the Soviet Union or Shaq versus Kobe. But, one that has absolutely stood the test of time, I think.
It's a good pick. I was wondering if this is going to make someone's list. I recently just watched the Tupac movie, so it's top of mind. I'm not like a huge rap guy, so it's not like, I get that it's influential in the world, but for me personally, it's not. But yeah, I can't say anything bad about it. It's a good pick.
Well, I know that most of our listeners turn to List Night for all hip hop related news, and but yeah, this is a great pick. It's always like blown me away how much the two of them defined just the rap scene and hip hop culture, and both died at such young ages. It's crazy.
It's clearly a very influential, like East Coast rap, West Coast rap, even beyond them. But those two men, like, it influenced so many people, even like me, who I don't pay attention. I don't I'm not a huge rap guy. Like, I listen, but like it has even affected my life at times just because it comes up so often, or like what has happened since then. So like it was a culturally significant beef, and then culturally significant deaths. So yeah, I mean, a solid pick.
I often see the Biggie and Tupac influence coming out of your lists, Thomas.
Right?
Sometimes you'll go in one direction. I'm like, oh, this is a Biggie Thomas list, and then another day you'll be like, oh, this is a Tupac Thomas list.
You've seen the shirts with Bugs as a gangster.
That's true.
Daffy as a gangster.
Those actually, I love those shirts. I've looked for like current versions of those shirts to potentially get one. People have often said that the two of you, Andrew and Thomas, are kind of the Tupac and Biggie of our friend group, and I don't necessarily know what they mean by it, but it feels like there's going to be a major national divorce between the two of you.
You know what I really wish and want is like, and I know this is going to take a lot of editing, and maybe one day we'll do it, but like we need a compilation of every time you, Griffin, have been like, oh, I've always been the blank guy, or Andrew, people have always called you the like that list will be insane, and then we could do a top 5 of that list.
He says
I would love that. I would love a list focused around me. That's amazing.
You say it almost as much as you say pod.
Huge pod guy.
I hate you.
All right, my number one.
You're the Biggie.
It is not Tom and Jerry, because that's Hanna-Barbera,
right.
and
I
not
was
Looney
thinking
Tunes. It would be if I was thinking outside this box, but I'm in my themed box. So the number one Looney Tunes rivalry, because that's what this list night is the Toon Squad versus the Monstars in Space Jam 1.
I fucking knew it.
Because you get all the best characters. Maybe not at their height. Like, they might have funnier top line stuff, but you get all the best characters. And then you get Michael Jordan, and you get Bill Murray, and you get Lola Bunny.
You absolutely get Lola Bunny.
Yeah, Toon Squad versus Monstars. It's great.
I mean, I love Space Jam, so I'm not a huge Looney Tunes guy, so I didn't really have much to say on your first 4 picks, but I mean, Space Jam's awesome.
Yeah. And
can we clarify really quickly?
What's that?
Is this just are they called the Monstars in the new Space Jam? Is this just?
I've never seen Space Jam.
I've never seen the second one. So
yeah. I'm going to assume they're probably not called the Monstars in that one. I feel like they would have given them something else.
I just learned today that the main enemy is an AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That part I do know.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
AI Don Cheadle.
But this pick is good. I mean, it was a basketball game for the ages, and the Monstars were worthy foes to the Toon Squad. So
I mean, I think the only person on my list who doesn't show up in Space Jam is Henry Hawk, which is disappointing. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's the greats going at it.
Yeah, and this rivalry also, like, to this day, this many years later, spurs like group Halloween costumes, and
some would say it's more influential than Biggie and Tupac. Some would say when it comes to basketball, it's a better game than any Duke versus UNC. Some would say Michael's special drink better than coffee and tea. So,
you mean water?
Water, yeah.
Yeah.
water
I did say-
is,
I did
think,
say-
kind of by definition better than them.
I did say
so
my list was a battle of the number 2 and 3 most consumed drinks, and that is number 1. So yeah,
you're right. You know, that might have pulled you ahead, Thomas. I don't even know if we're gonna like continue to turn these into competitions. I have no idea. Let's we still have Modai.
we still have me, and then
And
Andrew.
Or,
Yep.
Andrew, I mean,
Yep.
you're losing it. You're losing it.
I
which
have
actually brings
fully
me,
lost it.
which is perfect because that brings me to my number 1, which is left brain versus right brain. And I know, and I understand I'm not beating the HR allegations with
You're
this.
sure fucking
I'm
not.
really not. And I don't like that I just said beating the HR allegations because that seems like something totally different.
You can be elected president of the country, man. You're good.
And I hate that we're making clips out of these things. No. Okay. Anyway, no, like left and right brain always at odds, including with this pick itself. So, you know, that's all I have to say about it.
2 things. Griffin, this is how you do a left versus right. And then the other thing is, I don't think it's HR. I think you went to BuzzFeed and just scrolled back as far as you could and found these
Dude,
5
fuck
things.
BuzzFeed.
Like, I think that's what you did.
We did BuzzFeed before BuzzFeed.
Andrew's better than that because we've had a long time beef with BuzzFeed for stealing our entire general concept. Which, to be clear, I'm actually not sure that they did because I think BuzzFeed was a thing before we started doing List Night on Facebook. But I'm not positive.
There's no proof of that.
Vinny,
Go ahead.
Okay. If any of you guys are Bo Burnham people, I love his song Left Brain,
Yes.
Right Brain. That's the first thing I thought of. It's a good song. So it's a fine pick.
I think it's a great pick to top off your list.
Yeah, I think that's I largely agree with you, Tom. Honestly, Andrew, as your picks went on, I liked each preceding pick less because this just felt more and more Chat GPT. I'm sorry. But like you said, you're not beating the allegations. And my positive feelings towards your list at the beginning have kind of just been erased at this point. So
Fuck you. Yeah, you can look through my ChatGPT history and it'll be weird, but it won't be this.
First off, I don't want to do that. I don't love how you phrase that. Second off, like, I'm not even saying that you did use ChatGPT for this. I'm just saying that this is a ChatGPT ass list. If I were to ChatGPT it, I would bet that yours would be in the top 10. And that's, you know, is that what List Night's about? No, List Night is about one chocolate factory against a very similar but different chocolate factory.
You know,
All
Griffin,
right.
you've always been the guy that's dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. Elliot was on this pod once, and he was pretty bad.
I think multiple times. That was my first introduction to Elliot as a human being.
Maybe multiple times.
Sorry for that.
I'm the Alzheimer's guy, I think.
Oh. Well,
All right, Moda.
All right. Well, my number 1 pick, I changed since we were recording because the more we went on, the more I realized it was a dumb pick. So I'll say what it was after the fact. But I did have a couple honorable mentions that I'm pivoting to. It's just chocolate versus vanilla. Like most people are a chocolate milkshake, chocolate ice cream, or vanilla milkshake, vanilla ice cream guy. I'm a vanilla guy, and not just because I'm white. My wife is a chocolate gal, and her ex-boyfriend was black, so maybe that is saying something. Who's to say? But regardless, chocolate versus vanilla, I feel like it's a timeless debate, and yeah, that's my number 1.
Can we acknowledge that you said not just because I'm white, as if at least part of it is because you're white?
The phrasing probably could have been a little
portion.
better. In retrospect, I will admit I should have just said not because I'm white.
you can join me in not beating the HR allegation.
Not beating the allegations.
No.
One other thing, and I actually feel like this may have come up last week too. This was a replacement on your list, and so it replaced your number 1 and not like your number 5. You decided to get rid of your favorite pick.
Yeah, in hindsight, it probably wasn't a great pick to be number 1 in the first place. So I was just replacing bad with good.
All right. At least you can look at that and say that to yourself.
I don't know what bad is, but you were correct. This is good. Historically, I've always been the guy that gives Griffin shit for changing his lists or being like, this really shouldn't be on my list, but I'm putting it on my list.
You're the
This could
Griffin
be
shit
any
for
number.
changing the
This
list
could be
guy.
any number. So I don't agree with you changing a list, but the actual pick, it's a classic. but it does feel like it belongs on Andrew's list.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a great pick. I don't disagree with Thomas on that though.
It would be honored to be on my list, but it's not welcome on my list. You know,
It's a sweet number 6 for Andrew.
Is that your way of implying that it was a ChatGPT honorable mention?
No, I used both my left brain and my right brain for this list. Artificial intelligence does not have two hemispheres of a brain. Chocolate, vanilla, I like them both. So I know that
could make it a good rivalry.
I know that's not the question, but I will eat everything.
I mean, waffles and pancakes, I like them both.
Yeah,
mountains and oceans, I like them both. Or mountains and beaches, was that what it was? I like them both.
Are you gonna do my recap, Griffin?
Twix and Twix, I like both.
It would be weird if you didn't.
The dick Twix and the non-dick Twix, both are good.
As long as we can acknowledge that one of them's a little bit more of a dick. All right, let's hit the recaps. This time, let's hit the recaps. My number 5 pick, Goku and Vegeta. My number 4 pick, left Twix and right Twix. My number 3 pick, the United States and the Soviet Union, the USSR. My number 2 pick, Shaq and Kobe. And then my number 1 pick, Biggie Smalls and the East Coast hip-hop scene versus Tupac and the West Coast hip-hop scene.
Number 5, Bugs Bunny versus the Hunters, Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, Martian Manhunter. Number 4, Foghorn Leghorn versus Henry the Chicken Hawk. Number 3, Roadrunner versus Wile E. Coyote. Number 2, Bugs Bunny versus Daffy Duck. Number 1, Toon Squad versus Monstars. And that recaps the best Looney Tune rivalry list.
But again, our topic is just rivalries, and which is why my list is number 5, pancakes versus waffles. Number 4, beach versus mountains. Number 3, morning people versus night people. Number 2, coffee versus tea. And number 1, left brain versus right brain.
And 0 is Grok versus ChatGPT.
Mine, number 5, Puma versus Adidas. Number 4, Obi-Wan versus Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. Number 3, Mario versus Bowser. Number 2, Duke versus UNC. And number 1, chocolate versus vanilla.
I think hearing that again, Modai, like, I like your list. I think it's in the wrong order, but I think you've got good picks.
I think Modai might have this one. I was leaning Andrew at the beginning.
Same.
That changed as time went on. Although maybe in like a written format, people won't notice what a bot he is. Who's to say? And then Thomas, I think you and I are probably we're last place contenders.
I didn't say Modai had a better list than me. I said I like his list. I would change the order around, but it's good picks. Let me clarify.
Sure.
I'm not saying I am losing.
Thomas remains Thomas's biggest fan, always.
And
I think Goku and Vegeta might be the best pick here, like across the board, but I made it my number 5 pick, so I'm clearly a bad judge of how to rank things.
Yeah, I stand by what I said that shouldn't have been your number 5.
Didn't I do that last week or 2 weeks ago too?
2 weeks ago, Gritty was your number 5.
Gritty was my number 5. It's so a lot of it is because you wanna reel them in quickly, and then if you let them down, you let them down slow. But that's what Andrew did, and that didn't work out.
It's not how this works.
So I start high, and then I just go higher as I go on.
That's my strategy. As a ranking list is supposed to.
I think I just started high, but then I didn't do anything to excite anyone. So I
don't think you even start. Well, you started high with the fact that it was breakfast.
A lot like other aspects of your life, Andrew, and I'm not going to dive into which aspects I might be referring to. But I imagine you're a great starter. You're probably not a great finisher.
Andrew found the plateau and just stayed.
Yeah. Why ruin a good thing?
You did ruin a good thing because it started off well. Whatever. We're not going to do this. If you're still here with us, I know this has been a very chaotic episode. We appreciate you tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcast platform, make sure that you comment, you rate and review if that's an option. You share us with your friends. We are fully back, and we are trying to put out episodes at least every week. We're also going to do some live streams. We got some fun stuff coming up. We hope that you will continue to tune in, and we appreciate everybody that is still here. We will see you next time.